U.S. Citizenship Interview 2026. Selective Service on N-400. Many applicants miss this. Andrea and David are seated across from each other in a quiet USCIS interview room. The environment is calm and professional. Andrea reviews the application while David sits upright, attentive and focused.
David, we're going to talk now about Selective Service registration. My main question is simple. Have you ever registered for Selective Service?
Yes, officer. I did register for Selective Service. I registered when I was in my early 20s, not long after I arrived in the United States. At that time, I learned that men are required to register, so I made sure to complete it.
Just to confirm, you personally completed the registration, correct?
Yes, I completed it myself. I didn't have anyone else do it for me. I remember filling out the information online and submitting it directly.
And how old were you when you registered?
I believe I was 22 years old. I was already living here legally, and I had a social security number at that time.
Okay, so you were between 18 and 26 when you registered. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Good. Some applicants are registered automatically and some are not. Do you remember if it was automatic or if you had to take action?
I had to take action. I don't think it was automatic in my case. I remember reading about the requirement and realizing I needed to register, so I went to the Selective Service website and did it myself.
Thank you. And after you registered, did you receive any confirmation?
Yes, I received a confirmation letter in the mail a few weeks later. I also remember seeing a confirmation number online. I kept the letter with my other important documents.
Good. One last follow-up for this segment. Do you understand that Selective Service registration is a legal requirement for most men living in the United States?
Yes, officer. I understand that it's required by law, and that's why I made sure to register once I learned about it.
All right, that answers my question. We'll continue by talking about when and why registration is required. Let's continue. My next main question is, when did you first learn that you were required to register for Selective Service?
I first learned about it a few months after I moved to the United States. I was talking with a friend who was already familiar with the system here. He mentioned that men have to register between the ages of 18 and 26. That conversation made me look it up myself.
So before that conversation, you were not aware of the requirement. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. In my home country, we don't have the same system, so I wasn't familiar with it when I first arrived.
Understood. After you learned about it, did you take action right away?
Yes, I didn't want to delay. I checked the official website to make sure the information was correct, and then I registered soon after. I wanted to be sure I was following the law.
Approximately how long after learning about the requirement did you register?
I think it was within a few weeks. I don't remember the exact date, but it was not a long time. I knew it was important, so I didn't ignore it.
Good. Just to confirm, at the time you registered, you were still under the age of 26, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And did anyone ever tell you that registration was optional or unnecessary?
No, officer. Everything I read said it was required for men my age. I didn't see anything saying I could skip it.
All right, that's clear. One final follow-up. Do you understand now that not knowing about the requirement does not always excuse someone from it?
Yes, I understand that now. That's why I think it's important to learn the rules as soon as possible.
Very good. We'll move next to your understanding of who must register. Now I want to check your understanding of the rule itself. My main question is, who is required to register for Selective Service?
As I understand it, most men who live in the United States are required to register when they are between 18 and 26 years old. This includes U.S. citizens and many non-citizens who are living here legally.
Good. Does that include permanent residents?
Yes, permanent residents are required to register as well, as long as they are in that age range.
Correct. What about men who are undocumented or have another status?
From what I understand, many non-citizens, even if they are undocumented, are still required to register. The requirement is based more on age and gender than immigration status.
That's generally correct. Now, let me ask a follow-up. Are women required to register for Selective Service?
No, officer. Women are not required to register.
And just to confirm, is registration the same as joining the military? Yes or no?
No, registration does not mean joining the military. It only means your information is on record if the government ever needs it.
Good. Many applicants confuse those two things. Another follow-up. Are there any age limits for registration?
Yes, men are required to register between 18 and 26 years old. After turning 26, they can no longer register normally.
Correct. One last confirmation question. Do you believe that registering shows compliance with U.S. law?
Yes, I believe it does. It shows that a person is following the legal requirements of living in the United States.
Very good. We'll continue by focusing more closely on your own responsibility during that age period. For this last segment today, I want to focus on your personal understanding. My main question is, at the time you registered, did you understand that it was your responsibility to do so?
Yes, officer. Once I learned about the requirement, I understood that it was my responsibility. I didn't think someone else would do it for me, and I didn't think it was automatic.
Just to confirm, no government agency registered you without your knowledge. Is that correct?
That's correct. I registered myself.
And did you ever choose not to register or delay it on purpose?
No, I didn't delay it on purpose. If there was any delay, it was only because I didn't know about the requirement at first. Once I knew, I acted.
Understood. That distinction is important. Another follow-up. At any point, did you believe registration was unimportant?
No, I understood that it was a legal obligation. Even though it doesn't come up often in daily life, I knew it could affect things like citizenship later.
Good. One final confirmation question for today. Do you understand that Selective Service registration is reviewed as part of the naturalization process?
Yes, officer. I understand that USCIS looks at whether someone followed this requirement, especially for good moral character.
All right. Thank you, David. Your answers are clear. This completes part 1. In the next part, we will go deeper into timing, exceptions, and what happens if someone did not register. Vocabulary note: Selective Service, a government system that requires certain men to register in case the military needs people in the future. Register. To officially sign up by giving your information. Confirmation. Proof that something was completed successfully. Requirement. Something the law says you must do. Required. Something you must do by law. Optional. Something you can choose to do or not do. Excuse. A reason used to explain not following a rule. Official website. A government-approved online source. Permanent resident. A person who has a green card. Undocumented. Living in the U.S. without legal immigration status. Compliance. Following the rules or laws. Age range. The minimum and maximum ages allowed. Responsibility. Something you are personally required to do. Delay. To wait longer than necessary. Obligation. A duty required by law. Reviewed. Examined as part of an official process.
U.S. Citizenship Interview 2026. No proof of selective service? N-400 Part 2. Andrea and David remain seated in the same quiet USCIS interview room. Andrea continues reviewing the application, referring back to David's earlier answers about when and how he registered for selective service.
David, in part 1, you said you registered yourself online and received confirmation. My main question now is, do you have proof that you registered for selective service?
Yes, officer. I do have proof. I kept the confirmation letter that was mailed to me after I registered. I also saved a digital copy of the confirmation page with my registration number.
Just to confirm, you did not lose that confirmation. Is that correct?
That's correct. I kept it with my other important documents, like my immigration papers and tax records.
Good. And the proof shows your full name and date of birth?
Yes, it shows my full legal name, my date of birth, and the date I registered. It also includes my selective service number.
Okay. And does the registration date fall before you turn 26?
Yes, officer. The date clearly shows that I registered when I was 22.
Thank you. That's important. Some applicants say they registered, but they cannot prove it. In your case, you're saying you can provide documentation. Is that correct?
Yes, if needed, I can show the original letter or the printed copy.
Understood. One follow-up. Did anyone ever tell you that proof was not necessary?
No. I always understood that proof could be required later, especially for things like citizenship or federal benefits.
All right. And you did not receive any notice saying your registration was rejected or incomplete, yes or no?
No, I did not receive anything like that.
Good. That answers my question. We'll now talk about how someone can verify registration if the original proof is missing. Let's continue. My next main question is, if you did not have your original proof, would you know how to verify your Selective Service registration?
Yes, officer. I believe I would. I know that Selective Service has an online verification system where you can check your status using your name, date of birth, and social security number.
Just to confirm, you're aware that this verification comes directly from Selective Service, not USCIS. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's from the Selective Service system itself.
Good. And if the online system didn't work, what would you do next?
I would contact Selective Service directly, either by phone or by mail, and request an official status letter. I understand they can send a letter confirming whether someone registered or not.
That's correct, and that letter can be used as evidence during the naturalization process. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand. The status information letter explains whether someone registered, and if not, it explains why.
Exactly. Now, another follow-up. Have you ever had to request a status information letter yourself?
No, officer. I didn't need to, because I still have my confirmation. But I've read about the process.
Understood. And just to be clear, you never checked your status and found missing or incorrect information. Yes or no?
No. When I checked, everything matched my information correctly.
Good. One more confirmation. If USCIS asked you today to submit proof, would you know what document to provide?
Yes, I would provide the confirmation letter or printout from the Selective Service verification page.
All right, that's clear. Next, I want to ask about accuracy and name matching. Now I want to focus on accuracy. My main question is, does your Selective Service record match your current legal name?
Yes, officer. It matches my legal name exactly as it appears on my permanent resident card and my other documents.
Just to confirm, you did not change your name after registering. Is that correct?
That's correct. I have never changed my name.
Good. And your date of birth also matches across all records?
Yes. My date of birth is the same on my Selective Service record, my passport, and my green card.
Thank you. This is important because mismatched records can cause delays. Now, let me ask a follow-up. If your name had changed later, would you know what to do?
Yes, I would update my information with Selective Service or provide documentation showing the name change, like a court order.
Correct. And you understand that USCIS compares records from different agencies. Is that correct?
Yes, I understand that USCIS checks consistency between documents.
Good. Another follow-up. Have you ever discovered an error in any government record related to your name or date of birth?
No, officer. I've been careful to keep everything consistent, and I check documents when I receive them.
All right. And you never received a notice saying your Selective Service record could not be found. Yes or no?
No, I never received such a notice.
Very good. That shows your record is clear. We'll move next to what happens if someone cannot provide proof. This is the last segment for today. My main question is, if someone cannot prove Selective Service registration, do you understand what USCIS reviews?
Yes, officer. I understand that USCIS looks at whether the person was required to register, whether they knew about the requirement, and whether they intentionally failed to register.
Just to confirm, intent matters in those cases. Is that correct?
Yes, USCIS wants to know if the failure was willful or not.
Correct. And in your case, you are saying you registered on time and can prove it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Another follow-up. Do you understand that USCIS may still ask questions even if proof exists?
Yes, I understand. They may ask questions to confirm details or check consistency.
Exactly. And if someone aged out without registering, USCIS may request a written explanation. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I know that applicants over 26 may need to explain why they did not register and provide supporting evidence.
Good. One final confirmation question. Do you believe there is anything unclear or missing about your Selective Service history?
No, officer. Everything is clear, complete, and documented.
Thank you, David. That completes part 2. In part 3, we will finish this topic with final verification questions and a short summary. Vocabulary note: proof, documents that show something is true. Confirmation letter, official notice showing registration was completed. Registration number, identification number given after registering. Documentation, written records used as evidence. Verify, to check and confirm information is correct. Status letter, official letter explaining registration history. System, an organized method often online. Submit, to provide documents officially. Legal name, official name used on government documents. Mismatch, information that does not match. Record, stored official information. Consistency, information being the same across documents. Intentional, done on purpose. Willful failure, choosing not to follow a legal requirement. Aged out, past the age limit. Supporting evidence, documents that help explain a situation.
U.S. Citizenship Interview 2026. Final Selective Service Check on N-400, Part 3. Andrea and David remain seated in the quiet USCIS interview room. Andrea is completing the final review of David's Selective Service history, confirming compliance before closing this section of the N-400 interview.
David, for this final review, my main question is this. Is there any circumstance in your history that could affect your Selective Service compliance?
No, officer. There is no circumstance that I'm aware of. I registered within the required age range, I provided correct information, and I followed the rules as I understood them at the time.
Just to confirm, there was no period between age 18 and 26 when you were required to register but chose not to. Yes or no?
No. Once I learned about the requirement, I registered. I didn't choose to avoid it.
And you were physically present in the United States during the time you were required to register. Is that correct?
Yes, I was living in the U.S. continuously during that time.
All right. Some applicants were outside the country or had special statuses. In your case, none of those applied, correct?
Correct. I was living here and had lawful status.
Thank you. Another follow-up. Did you ever believe that your immigration status exempted you from registering?
No, officer. I understood that my status did not exempt me. That's why I registered.
Good. And no one, an employer, a school, or an official, ever told you that you did not need to register? Yes or no?
No, no one ever told me that.
Understood. Just to be clear, you did not misunderstand the law in a way that caused non-compliance, correct?
Correct.
All right, one last follow-up for this segment. Is there any document, record, or event related to Selective Service that we have not discussed?
No, officer. Everything related to my Selective Service registration has already been discussed.
Thank you. We'll move on to confirming your understanding of consequences and seriousness. My next main question is, do you understand the seriousness of Selective Service compliance under U.S. law?
Yes, officer. I understand that Selective Service registration is not just a formality. It's a legal requirement, and failing to comply can have long-term consequences.
Just to confirm, you understand that this requirement is reviewed during naturalization. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you also understand that USCIS looks at whether any failure was intentional. Yes or no?
Yes, I understand that intent is important.
Good. At the time you registered, did you view it as something optional?
No, I viewed it as something I was required to do by law.
And you didn't delay registration because you disagreed with the law, correct?
Correct. I didn't disagree with it, and I didn't delay on purpose.
Thank you. Another follow-up. Do you understand that failing to comply can affect eligibility for citizenship even years later?
Yes, officer. I understand that it can still affect an application many years later, which is why I'm glad I registered properly.
Understood. And you also understand that USCIS may request explanations or documentation even if the registration happened long ago, correct?
Yes, I understand that records can be reviewed at any time during this process.
All right. One more confirmation. Do you believe your Selective Service compliance shows respect for U.S. law?
Yes, I believe it does.
Very good. Let's move to final verification questions. My next main question is, have you ever had any unresolved issues related to Selective Service?
No, officer. I've never had any unresolved issues.
Just to confirm, you were never contacted by Selective Service asking you to correct or explain something. Yes or no?
No, I was never contacted for that reason.
And you were never told your record was missing or incomplete, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Another follow-up. When preparing your N-400, did you review your selective service history carefully?
Yes, I wanted to make sure everything was accurate before submitting the application.
And you answered the selective service questions truthfully on the form. Is that correct?
Yes, officer, I answered them truthfully.
Understood. And if USCIS needed additional verification, you would cooperate fully. Yes or no?
Yes, I would cooperate fully.
Good. One last follow-up. Do you have any reason to believe that another government agency has conflicting information about your registration?
No, as far as I know, all records are consistent.
All right, that confirms there are no outstanding issues. This is my final question on this topic. Is your selective service history complete and truthful to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, officer, everything I've shared is complete and truthful.
Just to confirm, you did not withhold any information that could affect this review. Yes or no?
No, I did not withhold anything.
And you understand that giving false information could affect your application, correct?
Yes, I understand that clearly.
Thank you. One final follow-up. Do you have any questions or concerns about how your selective service record affects your application?
No, officer. I feel confident that everything is in order.
All right. I appreciate your clear and consistent answers. Vocabulary note: circumstance, a situation or condition. Exempt, not required to follow a rule. Continuously, without interruption. Non-compliance, not following a legal requirement. Seriousness, importance of a matter. Eligibility, ability to qualify. Intentional, done on purpose. Reviewed. Officially examined. Unresolved, not settled or completed. Conflicting, not matching, verification, confirmation of facts, cooperate, to work with authorities as requested, withhold, to keep information back, truthful, honest and accurate, concern, something that causes worry, affect, to influence the result. Thank you, David. This completes the selective service section of your N-400 interview. Your responses indicate full compliance, and there are no outstanding issues related to this requirement. We'll now proceed to the next section of your application.